声。What is known about the Sheng so far? Amiot says that the Sheng was given to the first humans by the goddess Nua. Prototypes of a Sheng were discovered on oracle bones from the Sheng dynasty. The Sheng character appears in the literature from the Zhou dynasty. Displays of a Sheng player on a vessel from the Warring States period. Archaeological findings shows old Sheng variants are still preserved, and Sheng variations, such as a Yu Sheng and a bronze Sheng. But when was the Sheng built? Why was the Sheng built? Where was the Sheng invented? Who built the first Sheng? These questions are still open and are discussed in many ways. Possible answers. Suggestion 1.
JosephMarieAmiot.
Amiot was a French Jesuit lived in Beijing, China from 1751 to 1793. He studied Chinese music history.
Mémoire sur la musique des Chinois, tant anciens que modernes.
Amiot sent 2 Sheng variants to France, which were probably the first Sheng instruments in Europe. He included detailed drawings of the Sheng and described its history. He writes that the ancient Chinese still missed one sound to complete the number 8, which in their opinion is fixed by nature. What he means is the categorization of the instruments in 8 sounds, also called boyan. He writes that the ancient Chinese already had instruments made of bamboo, wood, silk, earth, metal, stone and skin. They chose the gourd to complete the 8. The categorization of instruments into 8 sounds took place at the beginning of the Zhou dynasty. Until the Zhou dynasty, there are only pictorial representations of prototypes of a Sheng on oracle bones. With Amiot's description we could trace the invention or the further development of the Sheng back to the early Zhou dynasty.
I dare say that the ancient Egyptians, with their hieroglyphics, were just children, compared to the ancient Chinese. In the one instrument, in discussion, how many wonders would we not have to discover? Its origin, its age, its material, its form, its use, everything about it is allegory, everything about it is mystery.
Suggestion 2. Herman, the world's earliest music, traced to its beginnings in ancient lands. In this book, Herman reflects on who might have invented the Sheng, how he lived, and why he might have invented this instrument. Suggestion 3. The History of Musical Instruments, by Curt Sachs. The mouth organ, Chinese Sheng, Japanese Sho. Curt Sachs suspects the origin of the Sheng in the southern regions. Prototypes of the mouth organ are still found in the south and the east of Asia. The He, Miao, in western China, use Shengs with bamboo pipes 14 feet height, with brass reeds. The Mro and the Kumi, in the district of Shiligang in Bengal, have huge single pipes which are as long as a man is tall. He also mentions some of the free reed instruments of Borneo, Burma, and Laos. Sachs writes that the invention of the mouth organ in China is attributed to Nua. She is said to have crafted the instrument as an imitation of the body of the phoenix bird, complete with head and wings. The Sheng is connected with the phoenix several times in the course of history. Also in the History of Musical Instruments, by Curt Sachs. However, it is the fingyuan bird that is meant, and not the phoenix. Why and how the Sheng was built on the model of the fingyuan will be a separate part of the Sheng series. Stay curious. In spite of tradition, the mouth organ is not mentioned before about 1100 BC, and no earlier picture of it could be found than on a votive stele, dated 551 AD, now in the University Museum, Philadelphia. The book was published in 1940, therefore, Curt Sachs did not know the archaeological findings of our time. Curt Sachs limits the earliest possible date of the invention of the Sheng to the beginning of the Zhou dynasty. Suggestion 4. Ingrid Furniss, Political and Musical Change in Early China, The Case of Chu. Basing their claims on the material construction of mouth organs, several scholars assign a southern origin for the instrument. The body of the Sheng was originally constructed using a bottle gourd, Latenaria caesarea, while the pipes projecting from the gourd body are bamboo. Arguing that bamboo is not native to northern China, Mémoire suggests a possible origin of the mouth organ amongst southern Chinese peoples, particularly the Miao, who continue to use a six-piped example to this day. In the case of Chu, is also written about a thesis about the origin of the Sheng from Victor Mayer. Victor Mayer assumes the botanical home of the bottle gourd in India. He assumes that the gourd instruments have connected with the myths and cosmologies of the South Chinese peoples, where also the myth of the primeval ancestress, Nuwa, is supposed to have originated. Chu State, which is also a core area of Taoism, then spread the instrument and mythology to the north. Mayer believes that the Sheng is an elaborated, refined, and sophisticated adaptation of the Quran. Suggestion 5. Roger Blench, The History and Distribution of the Free Reed Mouth Organ in Southeast Asia. This report points out that the spread and organology of the free reed instruments in their areas of origin are by far not yet enough researched to be able to make concrete statements. In-depth research in rural areas was impractical in countries such as Myanmar and Laos until recently, while the results of Chinese scholarship are becoming increasingly available. The report tries to solve the problem that the Sheng emerged without transitional instruments. It is suspects that pipes with integrated free reeds were the forerunners of mouth organs. Instruments like the aicha could have played an important role in the morphological transition. The next step would be similar like the punji, by adding more pipes to the gourd wind chamber. If you now increase the number of pipes, you can see the path of development that this report suggests. Even with all the regional and cultural differences, this is still a very good and understandable way to explain the morphology of the Sheng. The reed pipes of Laos and Vietnam are proposed as the source of the mouth organ. The next step of adding a gourd wind chamber and expanding with multiple pipes is believed to be in the area of Laos, Vietnam, and Yunnan. As a point of connection with the north of China, the report suggests the Dine Kingdoms. While others may include the Kayan among the group of prototypes, the invention of the Kayan is set later than the Sheng in this report. In the report you can also find a subdivision of the different types of these instruments. Suggestion 6. On Google Maps, I found a map where the respective instruments are assigned to their regions. Suggestion 7. Haochen Shen, The Evolution of Sheng, in Mainland China from 1949 to 2018. The instrument originated in the 14th century BCE, and the structure of its design kept changing for some 3,200 years. This work also mentions the oracle bone characters as prototypes of the Sheng, as well as the Shijing, in which the character Sheng appears for the first time. During the Zhou dynasty, the Sheng was mentioned in texts, and was the most played musical instrument of that time. Since the Zhou dynasty, historical literature also contains classifications of the size, shape, number of pipes, and materials of the Sheng. Chao, Yu, Sheng, and He were created. Regrettably, evidence of all the above-mentioned historical Sheng materials is found only in texts. No physical Sheng certification has been found, except for the Han Dynasty Sheng. All agree that there were already prototypes of Sheng-like instruments on oracle bone inscriptions during the Sheng dynasty. Further development took place during the Zhou dynasty. There are different opinions about the reasons that led to the invention or further development of the Sheng. Possibly, at the beginning of the Zhou dynasty, gourd chamber reed instruments were known from South Asia in the southern states, like Chu and Qin, possibly coming from the Yunnan region. One tried to combine these instruments with the prototypes of the Sheng, as they are known from the oracle bone inscriptions, to get an independent category for the 8 sounds. Whether this further development took place in North or South China can only be shown by further archaeological findings. Also that the prototypes of the Sheng was a musical instrument of a resident minority that was displaced to the south is not to be excluded. Finds like the Sheng variants in the tomb of Marquis of Zheng, or a few Sheng variants in the Mémoire tombs, let us hope that we will solve many mysteries of the Sheng in the future, to be able to answer the questions of Amiot.
In the one instrument, in discussion, how many wonders would we not have to discover? Its origin, its age, its material, its form, its use, everything about it is allegory, everything about it is mystery.
Sheng.
谢谢你的时间。